This is the Prophecy Project. Understanding the times, the nations in military conflicts, with Bible teacher and author Alan Bonk.
Welcome. This is the 5th video in a new series of prophecy videos. It is now 2022 and things are changing all around us. By that I mean the world, its plagues, and governments are going out of control. This is a study of the second book of Ezra, which is also called For Ezra. The videos are divided into individual chapters from the book. Some chapters will be longer than others. This is a longer one. Some have a lot of personal input and questions from Ezra himself. However, most of the chapters are still prophetic in nature. I have given each chapter a simple title from something I found in that chapter. Chapter 5 is The Coming Tokens and Signs. For Ezra chapter 5, verse 1. Nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the day shall come, that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that thou now seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. And the land that thou seest now to have root, firm foundations, shall thou see wasted suddenly. But if the Most High grant thee to live, thou shalt see after the third trumpet that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day. There are many tokens or signs given in this chapter, chapter 5, that I will need to stop and comment on them after every 4 or 5 signs, then move on to more signs. First, we are told that the days shall come. These events are for the future, prophetic events. The truth shall be hidden. The word of God will be gone, and the people will not be living by faith. Iniquity shall be increased. Iniquity is the increase in unrestrained, undisciplined thoughts. It will be worse than at any other time in the past, or at Ezra's time, which is the time of Babylon. The earth, or land, that appears to have firm foundation or root will be wasted and destroyed. This is most likely an earthquake which will come. Ezra is told that these events will happen after the third trumpet. The angel does not explain anything about any prior trumpets or any subsequent trumpets that might sound. We can assume that Ezra will be living at the time of the third trumpet, or if he were, he would understand what the angel is saying. He would have heard the prior trumpets and would then expect these events that we're talking about to happen next. We are told that the sun will suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice in the day, 3 times. The only thing that I can think of that would cause these kinds of events is earth wobble. The earth would be wobbling instead of rotating smoothly. The moon has a wobble right now. In our time, NASA has filmed time-lapse images of the moon wobbling, and it is significant. It would require an astronomical event to cause the earth to wobble. In Revelation chapter 8, verse 10, we find reference to the sounding of the third trumpet by the third angel. It says, Then the third angel sounded his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, burning like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. I suspect that this event could cause the earth wobble needed, especially when we consider what had just happened prior to the third angel. At the sounding of the second angel, verse 8, Then the second angel sounded, and something like a great mountain burning with fire was thrown down into the sea, and a third part of the sea became blood. And a third part of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third part of the ships were destroyed. This great mountain burning with fire, I believe, is an asteroid. Mountains do not burn naturally, they are rock, but when they come into the Earth's atmosphere from space, they do burn and light up the sky. This will be no small event. The mountain is called Great, and the combined effects of these two astrological events could cause the Earth wobble as seen in Ezra. I want to note that the wobble could attenuate and the Earth might return to the same or nearly same angle as we know now. In other words, it might be a temporary situation. Verse 5 of Ezra. And blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled. And even he shall rule whom they looked not for that dwell upon the earth. And the fowls shall take their flight away together. And the Sodomist sea shall cast out fish, and make a noise in the night, which they have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again. And the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. The blood dropping out of wood is a strange statement. These changes in the environment will cause something different to happen to the trees. While it's possible that the reference to blood could be reference to human blood, anything is possible. After all, we are discussing the signs and tokens from God. I suspect that it is more likely that this is referring to tree blood, which is sap. Still, trees don't just start hemorrhaging their sap. Something strange has happened. It could be a gravity anomaly. Gravity on Earth is not the same everywhere. The density of the crust and rock itself changes the gravity. I have used gravity studies to locate minerals for mining. The penetration of the Earth's crust by wormwood and the burning mountain could cause gravity changes, and they would be substantial. The stones shall give voice would also be expected. The crackling and rumbling of the earth would be unnerving and would lead to the inhabitants being troubled. Verse 6, there's a reference to a world government. It says, and even he shall rule. The question is, who is he? And how did he come to rule? And how much does he rule? We are told that they who dwell on the earth did not look for him. They did not choose him and probably did not want him, but he forced himself on those who dwell on the earth. He appeared to rule all those who dwell on the earth. He rules the world. If the tokens and signs are indeed the same as found in the third trumpet of Revelation, chapter 8, then the person who rules the world at that time is the beast, the Antichrist, the son of perdition, the man of sin. Now, the last section of verse 6 returns the narrative back to nature's reaction, the earth-shattering astrological events. The fowls shall take their flight away together. The great flocks will fly in panic away from their normal locations. The Sodomish sea shall cast out fish and make a noise in the night, which many have not known. But they shall all hear the voice thereof. Again, we hear the effects of the astrological disasters. The Sodomish Sea is probably the Dead Sea located in Israel. Sodom is generally believed to have been located just east of the Dead Sea. The sea is in the bottom of the Great Rift Valley, which is a massive geological fault. It runs from north of Lebanon all the way south and deep within Africa. Evidently, the breaking and stresses are so great that everyone will hear them, even those who are not in the local vicinity. There shall be confusion also in many places. No one will know what to think about the situation. There's no clear path for going forward. This has never happened before. There will be no consensus on how to proceed, thus only confusion. Remember, these are the end times. The fire shall be oft sent out again. How can fire be sent out? Stop, then start again. This sequence is going to happen over and over again. It says oft or often. The Middle East, from Syria all the way down to the south end of Saudi Arabia, is a giant lava flow. Very much of it's very old, but some of it, like the Al-Safa lava flow near Damascus, is quite young. I think that these lava flows will begin again because of the fracturing of the bedrock and will flow out into the region, starting and stopping like all volcanic eruptions do. This process also allows for the salt water and the fresh water to flow together underground. We will see that also in verse 9. The final parts of verse 8 speak of the wild animals changing their places. The ecological changes to the environment will be so radical that the animals will feel the need to migrate to new locations. The final item in verse 8 refers to menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. If this statement means that women will give birth to monsters, then this is more than abhorrent. Menstruous women cannot be pregnant. Thus, they cannot be with child. The monsters would have to have been implanted within the womb, not conceived. They would be made somewhere else and then put into the host woman. It can be extrapolated that these monsters are nowhere near human. They are genetic freaks, not possible to be viable naturally. They are mutants. Verse 9, and the salt waters shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber, and shall be sought by many, and yet not be found. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. One land also shall ask another, and say, is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say, no. At the time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. To show thee tokens, I have leave. And if thou wilt pray again, and weep as now, and fast even days, thou shalt hear greater, yet greater things. These verses speak almost exclusively to the state of a social breakdown, which will happen at that time. Friends will destroy each other. There will be no place for laughter or humor in the world. All wit has disappeared. There is nothing funny about the situation. There will be men who will hope for something good to happen, but nothing good happens. They obtain nothing, it says. They will work and labor to change things and get something done, but nothing works, nothing prospers. The angel closes verse 13 by telling Ezra that if he prays and fasts for some days, he will come back, the angel, and show him more tokens and signs, even greater things. Verse 14. Then I awaked, and an extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me, comforted me, and set me up upon my feet. And in the second night it came to pass that Salatiel, the captain of the people, came unto me, saying, Where hast thou been? And why is thy countenance so heavy? Knowest thou not that Israel is committed unto thee in the land of their captivity? Up then, and eat bread, and forsake not as the shepherd that leaveth his flock in the hands of cruel wolves. Then said I unto him, Go thy way from me, and come not nigh me. And he heard what I said, and went from me. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, like as Uriel the angel commanded me. We see the humanity of Ezra. Verse 14. He woke up after having seen and heard all the signs and tokens that the angel has shown him. He was not able to deal with the enormity of the events and the horrible things he saw. He was troubled in his mind, and it made him sick. The angel, who was not just any angel, Uriel, is an archangel, which is of the highest order. Uriel held Ezra in his arms and comforted him and helped him back up to his feet. How careful he must have been. This mighty angel who presides in God's kingdom understood Ezra's frailties and acted appropriately. How amazing. The captain of the children of Israel came to Ezra and confirmed him as their shepherd. A lesser man than Ezra might have jumped up and said, Okay, let's go, and gone with the captain, but not Ezra. He knew what the angel had told him to do: pray, fast, and wait. Ezra did not want to miss God. He told the captain, Leave me and don't come anywhere near me. He must have said it with conviction, because the captain left Ezra. Ezra continued and waited for Uriel. Verse 21. And after 7 days, so it was, that the thoughts of my heart were grievous, very grievous unto me. And my soul recovered the spirit of understanding, and I began to talk with the Most High again, and said, O Lord, that bearest rule of every wood of the earth, and of all the trees thereof, thou hast chosen thee only one vine. And of all the lands of the whole world, thou hast chosen thee only one place, of all the flowers one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, thou hast filled thee one river. And of all the builded cities, thou hast hallowed Zion unto thyself. And of all the fowls that are created, thou hast named thee one dove. And of all the cattle that are made, thou hast provided thee one sheep. And among all the people, thou hast gotten thee one people. And unto this people, whom thou hast lovest, thou gavest a law that is approved of all. And now, O Lord, why hast thou given this people over into many? And upon the root hast thou prepared others. And why hast thou scattered thy only one people among many? And they which did gainsay thy promises, and believed not thy covenants, have trodden them down. If thou didst so much hate thy people, shouldest thou punish them with thine own hands? Ezra has gotten himself so worked up over the subjection of the Jews to the Babylonian that he comes to the point he accuses God of hating his people, his only people. Evidently, Ezra does not believe that God can actually love all his creation, not just a select few. As Ezra points out, he tells God that the Babylonians have gainsaid God's promises and believed not the covenant. This is amazing. Ezra is accusing the heathen of doing the very thing that Israel did. The Babylonians were not given the covenants. only Israel. Only Israel could break those covenants, and they did. The promises were given to Israel, not Babylon. Israel was dispossessed because they ignored the promises. Ezra comes to the point that he tells God, if you hate us so much, then punish us with your own hands. I don't think Ezra should tell God what to do. I don't think this is a good thing at all. Verse 31. Now, when I had spoken these words, the angel that came unto me the night before was sent unto me, and said unto me, hear me, that I may instruct thee. Hearken to the thing that I say, and I shall tell thee more. And I said, speak on, my Lord. Then he said unto me, thou art sore troubled in mind for Israel's sake. Lovest thou that people better than he that made them? And I said, no, Lord. But of the very grief have I spoken, for my reins pain me every hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of the Most High, and to seek out part of his judgment. And he said unto me, thou canst not. And I said, wherefore, Lord? Whereas was I born then? Or why was not my mother's womb then my grave, that I might not have seen the travail of Jacob, and the wearisome toil of the stock of Israel? The angel responds to Ezra's comments by asking if he thinks he loves the people of God more than God. Ezra, do you think you can comprehend the ways of the Most High? Then he said, you cannot. There are many reasons that we, not just Ezra, cannot comprehend the ways of God. Our minds are impaired. We don't have the mental capacity required. We also don't have the access to the information needed to know. We are finite, limited. God is infinite, without limits. We make our decisions based on our fallen, corrupt nature. God has a perfect heart. God is love. And lastly, we often have no clue as to what God's plans and purposes really are, or his timing. The only way we can walk with God is to be led by him, by his Spirit, not by trying to be in front of him, and certainly not by second-guessing what God is doing and why. Ezra's response to the angel's comments was, whereunto was I born then? I should have died in my mother's womb. His grief was truly acute. Verse 36. And he, the angel, said unto me, number me the things that are not yet come. Gather me together the dross that are scattered abroad. Make me the flowers green again that are withered. Open me the places that are closed, and bring me forth the winds that in them are shut up. Show me the image of a voice, and I will declare thee the thing that thou laborest to know. Well, God requires Ezra to answer questions that God knows he cannot answer. God never allows man, any man, to manipulate him, demand answers, or force God to move in a desired way. We often move and pray and react to circumstances from our emotions and our soulish nature, the old man. Then we wonder why God ignores our prayers. God seldom, if ever, answers our prayers in the way we thought he should or wanted. He is not at our beck and call. Verse 38. And I said, O Lord that bearest rule, who may know these things, but he that hath not his dwelling with men? As for me, I am unwise. How may I then speak of these things whereof thou askest me? Then said he unto me, like as thou canst do none of these things that I have spoken of, even so canst thou not find out my judgment, or in the end of the love that I have promised unto my people. And I said, Behold, O Lord, yet art thou nigh unto them that be reserved to the end. And what shall they do that have been before me, or we that be now, or they that shall come after us? And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring. Like as there is no slackness of the last, there is no swiftness of the first. The judgment or actions of God are like a wheel, the actions of a clock. The past is moving away at the exact same rate that the future is coming. No one. It is never too slow, and the other is never too fast. Everything is connected, lock, step. Verse 43. So I answered and said, Couldest thou not make those that have been made, and be now, and they that are for to come, at once, that thou mightest show thy judgment sooner? Then answered he me and said, The creature may not haste above the Maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. And I said, As thou hast said unto thy servant, that thou which giveth life to all, hast given life at once to the creatures that thou hast created, and the creature bare it. Even so it might now also bear them that be present at once. Ezra wants everything that God is doing to happen sooner, to do it at once. God responds to Ezra. Ezra's not to haste above the Maker. He, Ezra, seems to be impatient. The current situation must change sooner than later. Aren't we all like that? Verse 46. And said unto me, Ask the womb of a woman, and say unto her, If thou bringest forth children, why dost thou it not together, but one after another? Pray her therefore to bring forth 10 children at once. And I said, She cannot. It must be done by distance of time. Then said he unto me, Even so have I given the womb of the earth to those that be sown in it in their times. For like a young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the aged, even so I have disposed the world which I have created. And I asked and said, Seeing thou hast now given me the way, I will proceed to speak before thee. For our mother, of whom thou hast told me, that she is young, draweth now nigh unto age. He answered me and said, Ask a woman that beareth children, and she shall tell thee. Say unto her, Wherefore are unto they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less stature? And she shall answer thee, They that be born in the strength of youth are one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb faileth, are otherwise. Consider thou therefore also how they that are less stature than those that were before, and so are they that are come after you less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to be old, and have passed over the strength of youth. Then said I, Lord, I beseech thee, if I have found favor in thy sight, show thy servant by whom thou visiteth thy creature. The main lesson that I take from the children of youth and the old age is that the works of God cannot happen all at once. Like Ezra wanted God's plans, and mankind are changing only with time. The men of old are different than the men of Ezra's days, and the men which are yet to come are different still more. The main point from the children is that the latter, or those of the old age, are weaker than the early ones. This idea that mankind is degrading is a hard sell in the world today. We feel that men today are more robust and stronger than our forefathers. However, I think that God is really looking at the total man, body, soul, and spirit. And I think a case can be made for our ancestors. Almost all of our benchmarks for measuring our performance today are contrived. There's from sports and games, and almost nothing to do with real life consequences. Our day-to-day challenges do not result in our survival or not. Whether you win a game or don't win a game, who cares? However, this situation will change in the end times, the times we are facing very soon. This is the end of chapter 5. Now, you can go to the next video in the series to continue chapter 6 or to any other chapter you wish to view. Thank you for watching.
This was only one session of many. Be sure to continue watching the Prophecy Project series. If you would like to read more information on this subject, you can find Alan's books on Amazon.com.